We say good morning and welcome to other members of our virtual community that are joining us this morning, whether you're joining us live or whether you're viewing this at some future point. We do say welcome to the Monterey Center for Spiritual Living. Our theme for the month of August is nature, living everyday wonder through nature. And our topic for today is the water of life. When we contemplate the whole globe as one great dewdrop, striped and dotted with continents and islands, flying through space with other stars, all singing and shining together as one, the whole universe appears like an infinite storm of beauty. And this quote is by John Muir. Last week, we began our August series, Nature, acknowledging that we live on Earth and that we live as one. We live in harmony with our planet, with nature, with all other resources that we have, including ourselves. And so this week, we're exploring the nature, the wonder in the nature of one of our most vital resources, and that is water. Earth is called the blue planet because of the large surface that is covered by water. Our oceans, seas, lakes, and rivers provide food, oxygen, climate regulation, recreation, and the ability to travel from one landmass to another, and even medicines. While water is plentiful, most of it is salt water and is not readily drinkable or usable for agriculture. And so this talk this morning is going to share with us some basic scientific information that we know, some areas of social responsibility for us to be aware of, and the spiritual nature of living on Earth and being a part of the planet. If we believe that water has intrinsic value, then it will be demonstrated in how we act, and our actions will demonstrate respect for the Earth's water resources. Conversely, if we act in ways that misuse water, we display an inner spirit that often lacks respect for water, regardless of what we may say about its value. Clean, pure water is vital to our survival and the survival of our entire planet. And I believe that we all might agree on that. However, a significant challenge to this survival is human greed. We see this with the global water industry legally bottling water at its sources and then selling it to people downstream that once had it for free access. These sources, rivers, lakes, and streams eventually will run dry or will run very low. We use our water for drinking, cleaning, working, recreation, and traveling. And it is estimated that each person in the United States, just in the United States, uses 80 to 100 gallons of water every day for the consumption of our basic needs. So just imagine that. We use 80 to 100 gallons of water each day for our basic needs. And with this in mind, we are aware of something that happened locally here in our own United States. And that was the water crisis in 2014 in Flint, Michigan. And this crisis, as you may recall, resulted in high levels of toxicity and lead that leached into the water supply and caused great harm to the residents of Flint that consume the water. And the main concern is the long-term effect of the lead on the cognitive development of children. So it's not just an immediate impact that it had, but it's a long-term impact. And the cause of this, or one cause of this, was pipe corrosion due to a lack of oversight by the Flint water supply plant. So we can see that here's the social responsibility that we may have to take action locally. I remember the phrase that was quite popular, I believe it was in the 60s, and that is to think globally, but act locally. And so this is an opportunity to act locally. And of course, this challenged the sense of safety for many Americans who looked at the Flint situation. And that solution is still working its way through the courts, even to today. And so let's look at this from a spiritual perspective. Ernest Holmes writes in The Art of Life, in chapter 5, just as water purifies itself as it flows, so the impure stream of our mental life becomes purified by applied constructive thinking. It may well be that a lack of circulation in the physical body is a result of mental stagnation, while mental stagnation is a result of a lack of spiritual perception. Of course, what Holmes is saying to us here is that mental stagnation occurs when we stop learning, when we stop growing, when we stop exploring new ideas, being open to new possibilities by taking classes, or joining a book club, or engaging in activities that nourish the mind, the body, and the soul help to prevent mental stagnation. In addition, up-leveling our practices, our spiritual principles and practices, including our affirmations, our meditations, our spiritual mind treatment, supports us in removing those mental stagnations and blocks that open up the way to abundantly living everyday wonder. And so as we bring mindfulness to our daily water activities, like drinking a glass of water, bathing, appreciating the rain that nourishes the plants and cleans the air, or enjoying the rivers, the lakes, the beaches that provide nourishment, homes and safety for wildlife, is another way to explore the experience of living everyday wonder through the awareness of water. I'm reminded of someone that I knew that was just very grateful for even the smallest of activities. And one expression of gratitude was, each time I reach for the glass, I say thank you for the mobility to reach for the glass. I say thank you for the glass that I have. And when I drink water, I say thank you for the water that is available to me right here and right now. I don't have to go somewhere and look for it. It is here right now. So these simple acts of gratitude and appreciation for what is available to us now help to support us in expanding our awareness that God is absolutely all that there is. And so let's take a look at some of our connections to water. One theory in this process of evolution is that our ancestors came out of water, evolving from swimming to crawling and walking. We spend the first 9 months of our lives immersed in the watery environment of our mother's womb. When we are born, our bodies are approximately 78% water, and the brain is made up of 80% water. As we age, that number drops to below 60%. And even though the number drops, I know I have to be continually mindful of drinking enough water to keep my body hydrated. And I think as we age, this is something that becomes or can become a problem if we don't remember to keep ourselves hydrated. I remember I was participating in an exercise class prior to the pandemic that was tailored to seniors. And one of the instructors would remind us to sip water continually during the day, a reminder to continually sip water during the day. And she said, not only does that help you to keep hydrated, but it eliminates the frequency that you go to the bathroom. And so I go, that's a good point to remember. Rather than consuming a large amount of water at one time and then having to rush to eliminate it, sipping periodically through the day helps to keep the body nourished, helps to keep the body alive, helps to keep the brain active and alive. The mineral composition of the water in our cells is comparable to that is found in the sea. Another example of the interconnectedness of all life. Water is essential for health and is necessary for numerous bodily functions. I previously mentioned that it is vital for the waste removal. It is also vital for temperature regulation and for cellular function. The term biophilia refers to the hypothesis that we as humans have an instinctive bond in nature with living organisms with which we share our planet. And this is ingrained in our genes. This theory in essence says, because we have spent most of our evolutionary history, 3 million years and 10 and 100,000 plus generations in nature, before we started forming communities or building cities, we have an inherent love of natural settings. What we consider as beautiful is a result of our innate drive for survival as a species. And there was a TED Talk in 2010 delivered by Dennis Dutton, which he described what people consider as beautiful landscape. And the essential elements were found to be universal. So this applied over a broad range, over a broad spectrum. And what was described as beautiful is open spaces. And we hear a lot about maintaining open spaces wherever we may live. Covered with the low grass, there's something soothing about a low grass. Interspersed with trees and a water element. So water is considered beauty as part of nature in our elements and in our landscaping. And again, this brings us back to this idea of being socially responsible and taking an active role in what takes place in our local communities. We do have a voice, we don't often use it. From the beginning of time, humans have settled along lakes, rivers, and seas, areas that could support life. Again, the connection with water. Our planet is beautifully covered by water, and from outer space can be seen as a beautiful blue planet. From roaring waterfalls and crashing waves to gentle rain and billowing clouds, water pervades our planet's majestic biosphere. It is estimated that 80% of the world's population lives within 60 miles of an ocean, lake, or river. This means over half a billion people owe their lives directly to water, and 2/3 of the global economy is derived from activities that involve the water. And we can see just a glimpse of that is happening in the Ukraine with the war situation that's going on there, where the waterways were landlocked and the grain that was vital for the survival and for food sources was blocked and could not be delivered to the people where it was needed. And now that has been opened up and temporarily resolved. So we see that our global economy is involved intricately in water. And we saw the same thing, and it's not that much in the press now, but we saw the same thing during the pandemic, where the supply chain, where our essential needs were blocked from coming into port. And all of the ships were held at bay out in the ocean because the docks were not functioning at the time. So we can, again, it's a way of looking at the interconnectedness of life and our dependence on water in so many various ways. Approximately 1 billion people worldwide rely primarily on a water-based source of protein. And again, this brings us back to this idea of social responsibility as we hear about our seas and our oceans being overfished from the basis of greed. So again, it's just an invitation to be mindful of what is happening around us. There are people that are born in places where they've never had to worry about finding water or question what quality of water would affect their health. As vital as water is, many people remain unaware and uninformed, continuing to support activities that pollute our rivers, our lakes, our oceans, directly as well as indirectly. We're all directly impacted by our actions, and all of nature suffers from our misuse and our greed. And we see this as animal watering holes around the planet begin to dry up, and the animals either migrate or die. It is a consciousness of separation that allows many to live in lack and so few that enjoy the many benefits. And so this consciousness of separation is that consciousness of duality that leads us to a place where we have disconnected from those that are around us. For most of us, it's hard to fathom the idea of waking up before sunrise every morning and walking for hours to find a water source. Yet every day around the world, nearly 10%, primarily women and children, or approximately 748 million people, stand in line to access a muddy water hole, this ground that is shared with other human neighbors and with livestock, filling their bottles, taking them back to their homes and their villages to serve their families. Because this water is not clean and is not pure, these communities constantly suffer from stomach pain and diarrhea and lose their children to water-related disease at unprecedented rates. Now, the good news is that there are agencies that are helping with this water solution. And one of these is Water for People, an international nonprofit that is based in Denver, Colorado. Water for People is partnering with local community members, businesses, and governments, helping them to build sustainable water and sanitation systems for their communities that will ensure them to have the training and the tools necessary to maintain the systems for generations. You know, it's one thing to go in and create something, to build something. It's another thing to equip the inhabitants in those areas and to train them and to provide the tools to maintain the systems to allow them to expand and grow and be available for generations. Walk Water is another nonprofit whose mission is to bring clean water to reliable sources and water communities in rural Nigeria. Walk Water is one of the nonprofits that our center has tithed to in the past. And so we are doing our part at a local level to support something that is occurring and improving the quality of life on a global level. Ralph Waldo Emerson reminds us that everything in nature contains all of the powers of nature. Everything is made of hidden stuff. And this is from his book, The Magic in Your Mind. And so our call to action this morning, it's easy to take water for granted. We often forget the value of this precious resource as we go about our daily lives. Can we repair the damage that we're doing to our planet and to the water that life relies upon? I believe that the answer is a resounding yes. We do so by being custodians and guardians of the lakes, rivers, and oceans for all life on planet Earth. We immerse ourselves in the flow of the river of life, where the water flows pure and crystal clear. Again, from Emerson, everything in nature contains the powers of nature. Everything is made of one hidden stuff. And this is from Magic in Your Mind. So as part of our call to action, I offer you spiritual tools or practices for the week. And so our practices for this week are to be mindful of our relationship with water starting today. Be mindful of our relationship to water today. Be conscious of how we're using water. Investigate how water sources are used in our local community. Think of ways to save on usage. Help bring awareness to wasteful practices such as grass lawns in desert areas and often unsustainable alternatives like desert scraping. And most importantly, give thanks for this precious resource and treat it with care. And let us be mindful that life around may be screaming divisiveness, disparity, discrepancies, disrespect, and defiance, appearing as trials and tribulations in the world of duality. Our spiritual perception of life invites us to choose and to think, feel, and to act differently, declaring there is one pattern of infinite love, intelligence, unity, and order. Feel the love next time you see a beautiful blue body of water and be grateful for its life-giving substance. And our affirmation for this week is, I am grateful for the waters of life that sustain me. Let us say this together. I am grateful for the waters of life that sustain me. And now I invite us to come together in prayer. As we recognize the all-prevailing presence of Spirit, the one life, the one power, the one source of all that there is. And as I unify myself with this source, as I declare my oneness with this source, I declare it is true for the entire planet. All things that are living, all sentient beings. And that which appears to be inanimate, that is filled with life, I recognize all of this as being one with Spirit. And so as we uplevel our awareness of water, this source of life, I speak my word this morning, blessing our waterways, our riverways, our oceans, our seas, our lakes, all bodies of water, recognizing that this life force, allowed to mature and nurture on its own, is being continually revitalized and renewed in spirit. And as we become consciously aware of the Spirit moving through us in each and every activity of our life, we become mindful of the ways that we live on planet Earth, and we contribute to the spiritual continuity of all life, recognizing that life is good and it is very good. As we go our individual ways on our individual paths, we recognize and appreciate those whom we connect with, those whom we interact with, those who we collaborate with for resources, for sustainability. We appreciate and we love those who are kindred spirits. We appreciate and we love and we lift those in areas of government, those who are in positions of social responsibility, to act locally and to think globally, as we appreciate and again respect the oneness of all life. I speak my word this morning for those who are experiencing transitions in their lives, transitions of a loved one who has stepped off of this mortal plane into their next greater yet to be, from the seen into the unseen, knowing that the essence and the spirit of our loved ones are always with us. I speak a word of blessing for those who are seeking right livelihood in the form of employment and sustainable sources of income that allow the quality of life to be that which is life affirming and life supporting. I speak my word of blessing this morning for those who are experiencing health challenges or health opportunities, who may be experiencing a temporary disconnect from spirit, remembering that the disconnect is only in mind and that God never leaves us because we are a part of God, and what we are a part of can never leave us. And so I know this interconnectedness is that which brings healing and restoration to our bodies and to the body of our affairs. And for this and so much more, for the prayers that remain in our hearts, the prayers that may have been written out and placed in our prayer box, or the prayers that may have been shared with a minister or a practitioner or a confidant, I know that the answer is yes and amen. And so in deep, deep gratitude for all of this, I release this word now back into the law, knowing that it is done, and it is done well, it is done perfectly, it is done wholly. And I just allow it to be. And if any of this resonates with you in any way, let us affirm it together by saying, and so it is. And just a reminder that the ministers and practitioners here at the Monterey Center are available to support you in affirmative prayer, in spiritual coaching. And our contact information is on our website, and also you may find it in our weekly newsletter. And if you are not a subscriber to the newsletter, you may do so by going to our website, www.montereycsl.org, and click on the sign up button for our newsletter. And while you're at the website, you may also click on our donate page to support our center. Let us share together now our statement of abundance. I recognize the presence of God within as a source of this abundance consciousness flows everything I could desire in life. With gratitude and thanksgiving, I now participate in the flow of uninterrupted abundance. This prosperous experience is evidence of my abundance consciousness. And so it is. And there are ways on our screen for you to support our center. You may mail in your donation to our address here at 400 West Franklin Street, Monterey, California, 93940. You may text to give, and that phone number is on the screen. And you also, again, donate through our secure website. And I just want to share with a few highlights for our virtual community. I'm celebrating my birthday this weekend, and I just want to express great gratitude and thanks to everyone who has showered me with the abundance of good wishes and financial blessings and all of those good things. And our beautiful flowers this morning are gifts from the community for my birthday. So I invite you to share those, and thank you for that. Also, for our virtual community, practitioner in training Sandy Nee is offering a Zentangle workshop this Wednesday from 6 to 8 o'clock. Is that right, Sandy? 6 to 8? Yes. For those of you who are here in the sanctuary, the Zentangle workshop will be a virtual workshop. For those of you who are here in the sanctuary, I have the Zentangle kits, and they are available for $8. They're in the bookstore, and you can meet me in the bookstore afterwards to pick up one. Those in the virtual community, go to our e-blast, to our e-newsletter, and you will find the information in there. We invite you to participate in this spiritual uplifting engagement, engaging the mind. And on next Sunday, for those who are locally as well as in our virtual community, if you're in the area, we invite you to join us in person as we welcome a new member to our community, someone who is not new to the community, but someone who will be joining us, and that is our own Woody Madera Camacho. And we will also be welcoming Woody as a newly licensed practitioner who will be joining our team here at the Monterey Center. So you want to be present to participate in that. And we will also do something virtually for a part of that. And then finally, on the last Sunday in August is our spiritual living discussion circle, which takes place immediately following our service, and you're invited to join virtually as well as locally. And so we say thank you to our virtual community for joining us, and we invite you to tune in next Sunday as we continue our August theme, nature. And the subject will be furry, the fuzz, the furry, the fuzzy, the slimy, and the scaly, and everything else. So we're continuing this exploration of nature and looking at just another element of life here on this planet. So we say thank you and God bless you to those in our virtual community. And we will see you the next time you join us.